And if you cannot already tell by the title, this week I'm going to be filming a how I edit my Instagram pictures. So for a really long time, my Instagram was very bad. Well, the good thing is I made a decision, like I wanted to go on like a social media cleanse, which I kind of regret because I deleted my Instagram. I had like 800 followers, but my feed was really bad. Now my feed is really good, but I only have 300 followers, so it's like kind of a win-lose situation. But anyway, since the day that I deleted my Instagram, I've really focused on bringing my Instagram level up. Not to brag, but I think I have a pretty good aesthetic happening, and I've really been focusing on my aesthetic and how good my aesthetic is.
Say aesthetic one more time and it would literally slap you across the face.
And everything in my feed needs to fit my aesthetic.
I'm sorry.
And I have like my favorite filters that I use and my edits that I use, and I thought I would share my filters and everything with you guys because I have worked literally way too hard to get my Instagram perfect and get my editing perfect. It's honestly not perfect. Like there's so many people who are better at editing than me, but my editing is very easy and it's very doable, and everything that I use is free. I thought I would share with you guys my editing tips so you can have a better Instagram, because if yours is anything like mine 2 years ago, it's very bad. So we're gonna get started. Please excuse the ratchetness of my phone. I kind of, like when I get anxious, I pick up my phone case, and I picked up my phone case and then I dropped my phone, and so now it's cracked and I can't trade it in and I have to wait to get a new one. So, but anyway, let's just get right into editing. First, I think I'm going to show you guys my Instagram just so you can have an idea. If you don't already follow me, which, like, what are you doing? If you haven't followed me by now, I've literally been talking about my Instagram for like 10 minutes. I do have a pretty great Instagram. This is what my feed looks like. I just redid like my whole like highlights and profile picture, so that also looks really good. I'm honestly like really pleased with it right now. I also love the feature where you can post multiple pictures at once because I'm so indecisive. Like it makes it so hard to pick a picture. So now that that is a thing, I post way too many photos all the time. So I also have really great Instagram stories. If you guys want a separate video on how I do my Instagram stories, I will totally do that because I am really into Instagram stories. I'm kind of so obsessed with them, and I literally am so annoying on it. Like I'll be that person that has like the, you know what I'm talking about, like the like of Instagram stories. Like that's literally me when I go on vacation. I basically use VSCO. I just posted a video where I became a basic VSCO girl for the day. It was great, and it honestly was just me living my best life because I love VSCO and I literally use it every single day. I not only edit on VSCO, but I do post on VSCO because I am so obsessed with VSCO. I'm actually really proud of my VSCO. I've worked really hard on my VSCO the past, again, like year or so, and I think it's gotten really good. So my VSCO is Maria Isabel 2 if you want to follow me. Let's get into editing because I've literally talked about everything but editing pictures. So the first picture we're going to edit is a well-lit photo. These are the easiest ones to edit when the lighting is really good, and this is a day where there was, I call it soft lighting. So the sun isn't directly on my face, but it's also still sunny outside, so I'm being well lit. Those are, I have to say, that's like the best way to take your picture. If you want a picture where you can see all of you, your pores aren't like showing too much, if your skin isn't like that good, like it doesn't show all the details of your face, but it still highlights you enough, and you want like good lighting, soft lighting. So like a day where it's sunny, or a day where it's like the sky is high and cloudy, like white cloudy, you know what I'm talking about? Like the sky is up and it's white, but it's like fully cloudy, but it's not like dark and low. You know what I'm talking about? Those are my favorite days to take pictures. We're going to take this picture, which I call soft lighting, and my favorite filter to use, you'll see it on my Instagram, is M5. So I used to be a C1 user. That was the only preset that I ever used, but I recently switched to M5 just because I think like the yellow tint is really bougie and I'm really into it. I do M5 and I normally will take that down to like a 5 or a 4. I don't like it to be too intense, just really subtle, just warming everything up. And then I always do editing after the filter. I know like a lot of my friends and my sister just leave their picture after they edit it, but like to me that doesn't look very good. So I always go in and do post editing after I do the preset. So one of the main things I always do is I always adjust the exposure, whether it needs to go up or down based on what the picture is. In this picture specifically, the up exposure just looks too overexposed, so I'm going to take it down a little bit so there's a little more contrast in the photo. Normally I don't mess with contrast too much just because it's kind of ugly and I not a fan of pictures with a high amount of contrast. Next is saturation. A lot of people have been desaturating their pictures. Personally, I'm not a fan. I like the color in my photos, so I always up saturation, and plus, it makes you look more tan. That's always a tip. If you need to look tanner, up your saturation, unless you're like Dracula's second-born child.
We're gonna need a tan. Oh, for sure. I'm like Dracula's second-born child.
You should get tanner. So next is highlights and shadows. Highlights, like whenever I turn up my highlights, it makes the colors seem really flat. If that makes any sense, like this is without highlights, this is with highlights. Personally, I like it more. I always turn it all the way up unless it makes my photo look really extremely stupid. And then shadows, I will take up a little bit if my photo is really shadowy. And this one, it's not too shadowy, but I'm going to take it up a little bit. Next would be white balance. This is the next most important step after saturation. White balance is really important because a lot of people like to make their pictures more blue or more green. Personally, for the bougie vibe, I go for more yellow, and I always add more green. That's going to give you more of that M5 filter color. Adding yellow and adding green. You can always add green and blue. That will give you more of a C1 kind of vibe. But I always add yellow and green because I think it looks really good. So next is skin tone. Sometimes when I add my colors and I do my filters, my skin goes like a weird green. So I always add back a little bit of the skin tone color. It just adds like skin color, like a normal skin color. So I always add that. And then that is pretty much it. I used to do the split tone highlights and all that kind of jazz, but now I don't do it anymore, and it saves me so much time. And that was so easy, and it was free. So I'll show you guys, that's the finished product. That's what it will look like. And honestly, I'm really happy with the filters. I'm really happy with how it looks, and that's how you can do that kind of filter look on your Instagram. Next, I want to show you guys how to edit pictures that were taken in the dark. I'm going to take this picture that I took. I always use C1. I think C1 looks so amazing with flash pictures. It almost gives it like the vintage film vibe, and I literally always use 12. Whenever I do pictures taken in the dark with flash, always do 12 on C1. And I really honestly don't do much. I always turn down exposure so I don't look like I took a bath in the deep fryer at McDonald's. That's always important. Contrast normally stays the same. Sometimes I will turn it down a little bit, but I kind of like the look of high contrast and pictures taken in the dark. And then saturation stays the same. I don't like to oversaturate because this is what happens when you try to saturate pictures in the dark. They just get really orange and kind of gross. Sometimes I'll take off saturation, but most of the time I leave it right where it is. And then I don't do anything for white balance because, like I said, C1 does a great job with pictures taken in the dark. So that is literally it. That is probably the easiest editing formula I have, pictures for the dark. So if you guys want to see it, that's what the finished product looks like, and it's honestly so easy. So lastly, I want to show you guys pictures taken in direct sunlight, or during golden hour as we like to call it. Why did I do quotes? I'm personally like a huge fan of golden hour pictures, mainly because my eyes are like greenish yellow in golden hour. Or they're brown, but they're like a brown with a greenish yellow tint, and I think they look really cool during golden hour, so I always try to take pictures during golden hour. I do have a very specific formula for editing golden hour pictures, so I'm going to show you that now, because if you over edit a golden hour picture, it looks really dumb, but if you under edit it, you just look like a tomato basking in the sun. First things first, we need to put a base filter on it. My favorite base filter for golden hour pictures is P5. Now you're probably looking at it like you're like, Maria, that's not like yellow anymore, it's blue. We're gonna add the yellow back in, but I think P5 gives you a really nice base for golden hour pictures, and I normally will take that down about halfway to a 6 or a 5. And then exposure. Exposure is the next really important one. This is what happens when you turn up exposure on golden hour pictures. You look like a ghost. So you gotta turn it down just a little bit, not too much, so you can still see the part of your face or whatever is still shadowed. And then contrast, again, I pretty much leave the same. Sometimes I'll turn it up so you can see my eyes a little bit more, and then saturation needs to come up. Like I said before, if you want to be tan, if you want to be a bronze goddess, your saturation needs to come up. And so there we go. There I am, a little bit more tan, a little bit more colored, not looking like a ghost. So the next most important step obviously is our white balancing. We're going to turn up the temperature. We are going to turn up the temperature. We're going to become a little bit more yellow. You can see like the before and after, it's starting to look a little bit more like a vintage golden hour picture. And I'm going to add a little bit of green because there's a lot of pink in my face right now. You can see when I add the pink, I start to look like a tomato again. So I add green to counteract the pink in my face. And that is pretty much it for a golden hour photo. And it just looks so much better than it did before. At least I think so. In my opinion, is always the best one. But anyway, I hope you guys really enjoyed this video. If you did, please make sure to leave a like and also tag me if you do use my edits, because I mean, it's cool to know that people are using the tips that you give them, so like please tag me, that'd be great. If you don't, like I get it, like you don't want to tag like a random person in your pictures, which I totally understand. Yeah, also if you want to see more of my edits and more of like my pictures and my Instagrammable Visco basic girl photos, that was a long sentence. Oh my god, I'm actually losing my mind. If you want to see more of my pictures and like the stuff that I'm posting, make sure to follow me on Instagram and Visco. They will both be linked down below if you want to follow those. Anyway, I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please make sure to like and subscribe, as my channel is very, very small, and it would be great for you to help on my channel. Like, that would be fantastic. I post every single Monday at 3 p.m. Eastern time. I'll see you guys next Monday.